Hey everyone, welcome back to Unqualified Critics. You see here with what looks to be the first ever image of the Outrun Arcade1up cabinet. Now, viewer Min Fam, and if I mispronounce that, I apologize, sent me a link to this site. Now, this is United Arab Emirates. It's in the Middle East e-commerce site. I don't know anything about them. I've not been able to verify that this is legit. So take this with a grain of salt, but I will tell you that this website, Flit, you can take a look at it yourself if you wish, has listings for lots of other Arcade1up products, including pinball, but most notably the Outrun cabinet, the first ever time this has been shown. And I will tell you, it looks pretty legit to me. Now, clearly this is the Outrun variant that they've gone with to be inspired from. We've got the Ferrari on the side. We've got the gauge cluster. This just looks very similar. And they even nailed the side panel shape. Let's look at that side by side. So pretty close. Not exact, but pretty close. Now, here's what's frustrating about this image. I mean, the real questions are what games are on it? Where do the pedals sit? What is it like ergonomically? And you can't really tell that from this image. Also want to point out, I did read through the description, and I'm not going to read this to you now. I'll have a link below if you want to click through. It doesn't tell us much. It really just talks about the game Outrun. It doesn't talk about the cabinet. Even though this is a description of the Arcade1up Outrun sit-down driving, which is quite the mouthful and kind of a weird translation, it doesn't actually give us information about the cabinet, but it does mention Ferrari. It mentions that Ferrari Testarossa, which is that car that you drive in Outrun. And that is an open question. Do we still get the Ferrari license? I hope we do. It's funny, with the things that are licensed, you'd think, who cares if it's the real car or not? You could say that about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They weren't able to license some of the music, and is it really that big of a deal? And I don't know. I tend to think that it kind of is a big deal, but it just is what it is. Either Sega still has the rights to resell the Ferrari likeness, and they can include that here, or they don't. And who knows if they do or they don't. And one more thing on the cabinet design, it is really nice to see that Sega logo. There's no Sega logo on the Golden Axe cabinet, which is correct to the original Golden Axe cabinet. Or at least Death Adder didn't have a Sega logo, so that's fine. But it is a nice thing to have in the game room, that Sega logo. It's just so iconic. And nothing's more iconic from Sega and arcades than Outrun. And overall, this cabinet does look really good. But of course, I do have some questions about how comfortable it actually is to play. So my guess is this kick plate goes all the way down and your feet go down here and you hunch over like Hunchback of Notre Dame and you play Outrun. But it is possible, because they put the game logos up so high, it is possible that there's room down here for your feet. And that's my hope, but I don't know. And I tend to think, though, that that's not the case, because then you'd have this like partial overhang. You really would need the entire kick plate to be gone to be able to comfortably get your legs back inside that cabinet. Now, is that an easy mod? It probably will be. It's probably a mod a lot of people will make. That's been a sticking point for me, is just really comfortable to play sitting down. And to be fair, I don't know, because I never played the Star Wars sit down, but I could tell you what it looks like, and it looks like it's not comfortable. Also, we know we're just getting the standard bench now, not a real racing seat. But, that was to be assumed. Would love to see a racing seat. I think they're crazy if they don't sell a racing seat separately that you can buy. But clearly, that's not what we're getting for the price. And speaking of the price, this comes out to just under $900 US. Now, it does include value-added tax. That is something that currently, and who knows how much longer this will last, but currently we don't have that in the United States. What is value-added tax? It means every time a product is shipped to another location and has another part assembled to it or is packaged, or every time something different happens to the product along the way of that product being built, every single step of that is taxed. The point is, that has tax built into it that Americans, if you're watching this in the United States, won't have to pay. So, what's the real price on this? I couldn't tell you, but it may well come in more expensive than Buck Hunter, which is $550, and Pinball, which is also $550. If that entire difference between $550 and $890 really is tax, man, that's some steep taxes. So I wonder if this will cost more. I'm also surprised that it would come in that high, because they've already sold us Star Wars with a basic yoke, and that yoke was nice for what it was. Is there something, though, in the steering wheel that's more sophisticated than the yoke? And the steering wheel only has to turn on one axis. The yoke had two-axis movement. If anything, I would think the steering wheel would be simpler, since we are told we're not getting any kind of force feedback, but maybe we are getting haptic feedback. Maybe we're getting rumble. Maybe there is something to this cabinet that makes it more premium after all. Again, let's look at that original cabinet design and then this. All right, so that's what it looks like apparently. Next, let's speculate what those games look like. And man, this is like photos of Bigfoot. I can't believe how low resolution this photo is. What games might that be? So I tend to think that this oval shaped logo at the bottom is Outrunners. The top left one is clearly Outrun. And I think this bottom right one is Turbo Outrun. I think. Not real confident. I'm pretty confident on these left two. That one's harder to read. What is this top right logo? And I'll leave it to you guys if you guys are able to figure that out. I'm not sure what it is. So I think we're getting Outrun, Outrunners, Turbo Outrun, and then a fourth game. And what is that fourth game? And we also know, I guess the other news from this is it is in fact 4 games. We're not getting 5. Now, John has told us that before, but we know how these things change over time. But in fact, it is confirmed here. And if any of you did use or watch reviews of the Star Wars sit down, you know that this bench just slides. It doesn't actually connect. But then I do wonder where the pedals go. Because wouldn't this just slide over the pedals? I mean, you wouldn't really be able to move this into the cabinet like you can the Star Wars. So I don't know, a lot of questions. And it is possible this is not a legit listing too. So if it's not, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. This is not officially verified. I'm simply bringing it to you because the tip dropped in my mailbox this morning and it does look legit. To me, I think it's legit enough to talk about. If I had to put money on this, I'd say, yeah, it's probably real. This is what the cabinet's actually going to look like. Let me know what you think below. If this is real, fake, what games are we getting? What are those 4 games? And what do you think? Is this on your list to buy? Because if it's hitting retail sites now, you can probably expect a holiday 2020 release. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you later. Hey, consider hitting that join button to support the channel, and thanks so much for watching.